Hi beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel. Shantia's new chapter. Yes, I am ready for Christmas, as you guys can see. I'm about to do another video on my other channel. I always like to get like really dressed up, so that's why I look like this. But I think by the time I upload this, it'll be close to December, so let's get ready. I mean, you know, we always criticize why they put out the Christmas decorations so soon, but it goes by so fast. Like, I'm so blown away that we literally have like 1 month and a week left of the year. Well, by the time when I'm recording this, we do, and then it's over. Okay, so I have in store for you guys a really, really special topic. So today I really wanted to get into talking about understanding the benefit of your childhood trauma or any kind of traumas you've experienced, your triggers, your pain, and your failures. So, I mean, I'm just listing this off, but they all kind of group into one experience. These are these experiences that have caused, you know, huge obstacles in our lives, that have torn us down, broke us down, brought us down. These are the experiences that are weighty, they're heavy, and yet they're the ones that we needed to evolve. So all of those situations were the best thing that could have ever happened to you for you to come to this place. So to me, there are always two paths. There are always two paths. You can either choose to alchemize and you can choose to turn your painful experiences into golden wisdom, or you can take those experiences and you can hold on to them and let it bring you down time and time again and remind you and make you think as if you're not good enough. So, you know, I'm currently going through, I will always bring spirituality into these conversations because it's a huge part of what has helped me to evolve so much. I'm currently going through an ascension process, is what I would call it, or like a transformative process where I'm coming to understand what I've been missing, or the key ingredient I've been missing. And I wanted to talk in depth what that key ingredient has been, and has the thing that has helped me to transform, the lesson that I've needed to learn for some time. So we're going to be talking about why these experiences have the ability to catapult us into transformation, evolution, and ascension faster than anything else. We're also going to be talking about how we can take advantage of really alchemizing our situation into golden wisdom. What are some key questions you can ask yourself to move yourself in a better direction when you are trapped in those stories? We're going to talk about the story. We're going to talk about our attachment to the story, who we think we are. We're also going to be talking about the achievement wound. So this is something I'm coming to understand about myself, is that, you know, I thought if I went off on a better path and just started achieving and doing better for myself, that was just going to be the thing that healed me. As I'm coming to understand through this ascension process, there's actually less we need to do and more we need to be than do. So the becoming process is a being process. The becoming, you know, you want to become better, you want to become this, you want to become that, but really becoming is about being. And then I'm going to share with you guys the biggest lessons I've learned. So the reason why I brought up this topic, it's not because my life is just rainbows and unicorns. I am a flawed human being who makes mistakes, and I acknowledge this. But I'm also well aware when other people need to take accountability for their stuff too, or when I would love for them to take accountability for their things. So about a week and a half ago, there was an incident that occurred between me and another person. This person started using very harmful, negative language towards me. It had been a long time, quite a while, since I had experienced that kind of language directed towards me, and it triggered me. And it sent me into fight or flight mode. So immediately I started to try to persuade this person of my perspective and essentially tell them why they are wrong and what they needed to acknowledge and why I was right. But of course, they weren't hearing any of it. They're very unconscious. They were coming towards me in a very unconscious state, and I was in a reactive as opposed to responsive state. So I was very triggered. And after it happened, I was so disappointed with myself because I had reacted in that way. And I knew better. I know when people are triggered. I know when people are coming from a place of ego. I know what it looks like, feels like, tastes like, sounds like, and yet I still reacted, and yet I still participated. But it, for me, made me, again, it catapulted me into a quick awakening and realization that something needed to shift. Something needed to shift. And where is that shift exactly? So I want you guys to think about, what are the triggers, traumas, and failures? What does that stir up inside of you? Where are you feeling that in your body? And how are you feeling like you can, like, what's the next step for you there? When you're triggered and you're experiencing all of these like limiting beliefs or emotions within you, what's going on? So what it really came to help me understand was, again, the reason why this person was able to trigger me so easily into this low state was because there's already a reality that was confirming to them my fears. They were just reflecting and mirroring to me. And I always say that people are mirrors. I say this all the time on my channel. They were reflecting, hold on, I'm not centered. They were essentially reflecting to me all the negative emotions I was already feeling about myself. So again, this got back to a relationship I was having with myself. I gave away my power in that moment to that person, even though they can't take it. Here's the funny thing about when people disempower you. When people try to disempower you, they can't actually take your power. That's why they're so dissatisfied. For a minute, they feel like they're higher or they're up and above because you're low, but eventually they're going to feel so dissatisfied, like they're wanting to come for more. So people who are trying to disempower you, unfortunately, are just running around in this circle of life of dissatisfaction. So they disempowered me. I gave away my power. Where did I give away my power to? Just energy, life. It's like I just gave it away. In that moment, I gave it away. I said that they have the power over me. I can't control my reaction or my response. And so I really wanted to create a video where I addressed how we can do better in these situations. So I actually, after that situation, it made me have a million realizations. That's exaggerated. It made me have some like really important realizations for what needed to change. And it made me recommit to myself. Okay, so before we get further into that discussion about recommitment and recommitting to ourselves, let's talk about alchemizing. Alchemizing, right? There's two paths. You can either choose to stay stuck or you can choose to become unstuck and remove yourself or kick the pattern, kick the ancestral pattern, the root pattern, the limiting beliefs that are not serving you. You have all the power in the world to shift your reality. But the minute you get so attached to your story, you disempower yourself and you give it away, essentially. So alchemizing to me is this ability, what I've learned to me, alchemizing is a process of taking a negative experience and processing it. So after I had that discussion with that person, I was in a grieving state. I was mad and I was angry and then I was sad. And I felt low and I had to grieve. I had to let go of this idea and this attachment I had to this relationship. Essentially, the reason why this person had so much power or was able to trigger, they didn't have power. Here's the thing, when people have power, they don't try to take power. Because this person approached me that way, they were able to affect my psychology so instantaneously, was because I was already creating an experience within myself that was not being attended to. So when I take certain situations that bring me down, what I like to do is I take it and I like to sit with it and just reflect. Wait, what happened here? What went wrong? What went wrong? How could I have responded better? Now, I don't believe in regrets because I'm just like, there's no point in regretting life. It's like life just keeps moving forward. So you might as well move on. And the beautiful thing about life is that it keeps moving forward. So if life keeps moving forward, you need to move forward with it. The reason why people get into such a state of depression is because they're trying to hold on to the past when life is saying move on, but they're trying to say hold on to the past. So in that moment, when you're triggered or you're reflecting on a failure, sit down and I would say pull out your journal and a pencil and start writing down this question, the answer to this question, what can I learn from this experience? What can I learn from this experience? What was this here to teach me? Right away, I realized I was codependent. I was too attached to this person's perspective and this person's opinion of me. I needed to cultivate a higher level of detachment. And I had to understand that I'm not alone. I'm supported by the divine, the universe. I'm supported by the universe. So we always think that we're alone. When I connect to my understanding that I'm not alone, I'm supported by the universe in this divine matrix here, I don't feel alone. And nothing has ever, as far as that concept goes, that's something I've been putting to test for some time now. You know, I've talked about my car accident in 2017. Since then, it's transformed the way that I see certain situations, because at that time I was in a very low state. So when you're in a very low state, you're gonna find yourself attracting very harmful situations. And that's what taught me the understanding. It urgently called for me to meditate, to process, to become one with God, to ask for help from God, because I felt so helpless. I was like, okay, I'm going through all these emotions, but I realized during that time, those lows in my life, I kept holding on to stories like glue. I kept gluing myself to my story, my childhood trauma, and I wanted to free myself. Ultimately, what I've been seeking and why I always try to alchemize everything I learn is I want peace. I just want peace. That's it. That's why I realize, even in achievement and trying to pursue goals, I was so dissatisfied, because I'm like, that's not peace either. When you're trying to prove someone else right, or you're trying to prove someone wrong, or prove yourself right, you're still trying to prove something because you feel like you're not good enough. So I realized, in the full circle understanding of that situation happening and me coming to that realization afterwards, was I realized I had not supported myself as much as I had. I wasn't creating like the support system or the affirmations within, or really believing in my worthiness. That's why I created this series. The thing is, when I talk about, these experiences of worthiness, I fluctuate in and out, and we're all human. The reason why I created worthy, or put worthy into the title, was because I felt unworthy. Unconsciously, I would say subconsciously, I was aware of that. But part of me felt like, well, I'm stepping into my worthiness. I'm stepping into my confidence. I'm stepping in. But I'm like, because I called it into my life to understand what worthiness feels like, the universe is sending me tests. It's like, okay, now's the time for you to understand, if these difficult circumstances come towards you, how are you going to rise above it? But beyond that, can you celebrate when things are going right? But more importantly, can you be present with yourself and just sit with yourself and realize that you don't have to do anything or become anyone to feel amazing? When we're always on our way, let's go ahead and dive further into the achievement wound. When we're always on our way to trying to chase a version of ourselves, then that means we're dissatisfied. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to evolve, ascend, and grow. This is the part of the expansiveness that I really love about being alive. I love that I get to grow, learn, and expand. But there's also another side to it. And the shadow side is, if you're so focused on wanting to become something different and become something more, then you become less connected to yourself in the present moment. And all the while, life is happening at the back of your mind. You're saying, I want to be this, and when I'm this, then I will be worthy of the abundance or the income or the attention. You're creating this idea in your head that I have to do all of this to get all of that, because really, subconsciously, you've already decided you're not worthy. You're not worthy. You've already decided you're not worthy. If you're chasing worthiness, if you're chasing an idea of who you need to be to become worthy, then you're not worthy. So really, we need to heal the worthiness first. And you have to understand, I'm here to remind you, there's nothing you need to do, be, or become in order for you to be worthy. That's why I always go back to my relationship with God. In His eyes, I am exactly the way I need to be. Now, why the heck am I not that to myself as is? That's the question. And sometimes, yes, it pains me to feel that way, but it's an experience that I'm fluctuating in and out of, and I have to be honest with myself. So what I did and decided to do is I did a recommitment ceremony, because I realized, just like I would want someone to honor, respect, and care for me, or love me, and appreciate me as I am, I need to do that for myself first. And so when people are talking about seeking love in relationships, right, partners or people, or even a career or abundance or success, you have to have a clear understanding of your worthiness before. Because if you don't have a clear understanding of your worthiness before, I'm not saying you need to have achieved all the worthiness within yourself in the world at that point. I'm just saying have a clear understanding of what that feels like within yourself now. When you achieve the success, or when you get into the relationship and you're on a high and you're so happy and life is so great, when things are not great, you're going to look to that situation as if to blame it for, like, something outside of myself has to change in order for me to be happy. And then you're going to return back to that state of dissatisfaction. That's why you need to work on it before you get the success, before the abundance comes in. Or I won't even say before, I'm not going to even paint a timeline, but as it's coming in, work on your worthiness daily. Recommit to yourself. Love, honor, and respect and cherish yourself. Why are we waiting for other people to tell us how amazing we are? Why are we not doing that for ourselves on a daily basis? Mothering, fathering yourself. So I had to make a list of all of the tools I had within me that helped me to cultivate that relationship to myself. I'm like, there's an inner mother in me. There's an inner father in me. So most of us have had situations where perhaps our parents were critical or in a disagreement to, like, what we are, right? They kept telling us maybe we have to change this way or be like this in order for us to be the good kid, right? And that created a high level of dissatisfaction within ourselves. So we have to remother ourselves, means say, hey, you got this. You got this. I support you. Or be the stern father and say, hey, make sure you stay disciplined, do your work, stay structured, but I love you anyways. Right? A lot of people have really interesting concepts about love. And they're like, well, love is just love. It's just one thing. It's freeing. It's open. It's that. And so you cannot tell me, when we're in this tight, blocked situation, that's what love is. I'm like, love is only one thing. It's this. And if it's not this, and it's more like this situation, that's not love. Love is expansive. It's open. It's free. Okay. It's devoted. It's committed. And it can be, I would say, yes, it is unconditional. At its core, it is. Otherwise, I guess the other versions of love are conditional. So now what I'm learning to do, and what I realized after asking those questions and reflecting on the situations that have happened, like traumas, failures, triggers, any of those situations, what we're really aiming for is a deeper, loving connection within ourselves. That's what all of that happening did to me. It's like, whoa, I need to cultivate a deeper, loving relationship with myself. I need to cultivate a healthy level of detachment. And I need to be more compassionate towards me, which is also the same thing as, a deeper, loving connection with myself. One practice, being with yourself, learning how to sit with yourself and just be with yourself without the distractions. When life really is calling away distractions, there's only one thing that really pushes and pulls away from all distractions. It's meditation. Being able to sit with yourself, that's meditation. Sit with yourself, sit with thoughts, and be content and comfortable in it. I had to really think about it the other day. I'm like, what am I running away from? Why am I not, what am I running towards? What is this race? I don't understand. Like, why am I racing? What am I racing towards? It's a racing away from having to sit with myself. The irony is sitting with yourself is probably the most satisfying experience you're ever going to have in your life. It's the most satisfying thing. But it's something we because of our mind and our mental mechanism here that we go to solve all of our problems, that's why we're brought into situations that cause a lot of grief for us, because we're not realizing we're just not present. There's no one you need to become. There's nothing you need to do for you to be deserving of love, attention, or abundance. Nothing. The first number one thing you need to do is decide that you're good. That it gets to come through you and to you and from you and as a result of you existing. I know it sounds very esoteric, but challenge yourself to see that you are already the source. You're the answer you seek. Okay. So some of the tools that I've cultivated besides mothering, fathering yourself is meditation. And then I already shared one earlier, which is my faith, like understanding my connection to God, understanding my connection to the divine, and realizing I'm not alone. I'm very, very supported in this journey. So it's an illusion. I mean, as far as my spiritual beliefs go, it's an illusion. And it's not something that I've come to just understand. It's not something I just read in a book. It's an experience. That's why I'm teaching it. It's an experience I learned to tap into through meditation, through listening. So what I like to do and what I would challenge you to do, if you're questioning, am I supported, is I would say sit down quietly for 5 minutes and maybe write down the question or a question you want to answer and just see what answer comes through. Now, I started doing this when I started journaling. I didn't realize I was, connecting with God, connecting to my spirituality and getting a lot of answers there. I just thought that my brain was really smart. I thought maybe it was just hardwired for a lot of wisdom or something. I don't know. I'm like, I don't understand why I have knowledge that's beyond my experience. Because it was coming from a higher power. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson here. Let's just quickly, before I do that, let's go ahead and summarize what we got from this. The best thing that could have ever happened to you is your trauma, your failures, your disappointments, and your triggers. Those are all there for you to ask the question, what can I learn from this? What did this teach me? Ask those questions, and then through that process, you alchemize. Because you've asked the question, now you're processing it, and you're like sitting with it, and you're thinking, okay, this is how I could have reacted better. I'm too attached. I'm in a codependent connection with this person. I'm too attached to this person's perspective of me. I didn't love myself in that moment. Why didn't I just support myself and say that, like what that person said was basically a lie from my perception, because it was very warped. And it really triggered me, because one of my triggers is when people don't take accountability. But life situations are like this, you can't control this. Life is always going to be a lot of it's going to be out of your control. But there's so much happening for us at the same time. And that's what we need to be appreciative of. There's so much happening for you to grow. And I'm like, if you allow yourself to sit with those difficult emotions and process it and feel it and grieve it, then you'll be able to let it go, detach, and move on. Journaling helped me to just look at the ugliness, what feels ugly. What really it is the light and the shadow are just, they're parts of each other. So the shadow, when you shine the light on it, it actually turns to light. And you realize, there's nothing to be scared of. It just taught me something valuable about myself that I wasn't paying attention to. It was a lesson I needed to learn. I'm so glad I learned this lesson. Now I can take that lesson, this newfound knowledge, this golden wisdom, and apply it to my life. Make better situations. Make better decisions is what I meant to say. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and end this here now. Remember that ultimately we're always seeking a deeper connection with ourselves. Always reflect on, if you're in the process of trying to achieve something, if you achieve something, then that's going to be the goal, right? So anything outside of yourself that's reaching beyond yourself, thinking that state of being able to claim that is what creates the worthiness and the deservingness within you, is a lie. There's nothing you need to do to deserve anything. And so not only are you enough, you're more than enough. You're more than enough. Overfloweth. You know, sometimes we look at ourselves and we're like, oh, but I'm broken. I'm like, you're not. The brokenness is an illusion. It's an illusion. It's a feeling you're associated with right now. It's familiar. But if you really dig deep and you're just present with yourself, you're like, oh, I'm actually okay. But when you're up here, you know, in those thoughts, well, now you're up here and you're not in this, and you're detaching from yourself and you're wanting to pull away and pull out of your experience, pull out of this life. Like, oh my gosh, if I was just done with this job, I don't want to be at this job. I don't want to be in this relationship anymore. I don't want to, because all of those experiences are you wanting to pull away from yourself. You just need to sit with it. And then once you're able to sit with it, you can make better decisions and you realize, okay, I got it. Maybe this job isn't for me. Maybe I want to do something I'm passionate about, you know, because it contracts my body. Doing this makes me so happy and excited and inspired. It opens up my body. This feels like love. You know, and I actually joke around all the time. Like, I say that word sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this. I love that. I love what I'm doing. There is so long when I could barely say that. Like, I could barely get those words out of my mouth. And now it's just become a part of my regular vocabulary because I've become familiar with it. So familiarize yourself with healing. Familiarize yourself with understanding that you have the answer. Familiarize yourself with knowing that you are already worthy. You are thriving. You're breathing. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here for this episode. Let me know if you guys have any questions down below. And I hope you have a beautiful day or evening. And I will be back for more than likely another episode. I feel like 10, if I wanted to end the series soon, 10 would be like a perfect number to end on. So we'll see. I'm all about listening to my intuition to understand what works and what I should move on from. Thank you.